What is up, everybody? Long time no see. Yeah, it's been a while since we dropped our last episode for the new year after we took our break, and apparently we took another break. And I'm gonna explain that. So this episode, it's actually gonna be pretty packed because there's just a lot that needs to be discussed. So I'm going to discuss what happened, what was going on, why were we not dropping an episode? We were still pretty active on social media, not particularly too well, but we did some things on social media. But I'll address that further into the episode. Actually, probably it's going to be the first thing that's discussed. But so I'll explain everything that has happened in this episode. Also talk about some things that. Obviously, at least from an American's perspective, and maybe throw in some other things as well. But MLS season's kicking off this weekend, and so didn't bring anybody on. It's also just and like I said, I'll explain everything as to why. Like maybe this isn't going to be like the most organized episode. Well, it's going to be organized to an extent, but why maybe I wasn't able to bring in a guest. Edward's schedule was kind of hectic too, so I don't think Edward's going to be in this episode at all. If he does, then that's miraculous. But I'm going to basically break down what happened, probably touch up on the Super Bowl because I just want to. But MLS season's coming up, so there's going to be a preview. It's just going to be me. I'm probably not going to go like super in depth. I am going to have like basic things to talk about as far as the MLS this season, but I'm not going to go like an hour long because there's a lot to talk about because Champions League. So by the time this episode drops, the first legs of the playoff round of Champions League has already been played. So, which is fine. So I'll just go ahead and talk about the matchups and my thoughts on some of the teams. We were originally, because we were supposed to drop an episode after the last of, obviously the most recent episode that we dropped. But like I said, I'll explain all that. But yeah, we were going to have a whole episode, and that was going to actually be talking about the Champions League, because the Champions League, obviously the league round already concluded, so we were going to do that, be a little bit more organized about it, but obviously with everything that has happened, I couldn't really touch up on it too well, but yeah, so talk about Champions League, already had it recorded from, like I said, from already. I talked with Moussa of Mo Football. We touched up on AFCON, so we're gonna recap AFCON, share our thoughts on the tournament. There's gonna be a funny part of him sharing his thoughts on Real Madrid, because there was originally planned to talk about Real Madrid after a couple matches already under Arbeloa. I was gonna go on a rant with Edward, but that didn't happen, obviously. But Moussa shares his thoughts a little bit about the whole Real Madrid situation. I think that's still a really good conversation in its own right, and then talk about African Cup of Nations. Players of the week. So this week we're gonna do something a little bit differently. I'm gonna make up with all the players of the week. So we're gonna not make them up, but each weekend since we haven't dropped an episode, we're gonna announce the players of the week. But we'll only post the ones that just won, but the one that this episode's edition. But yeah, so there's that. Give you guys some matches to look forward to this weekend. Obviously, MLS starts, so that's gonna be the big one for us to look forward to. But there is still some really juicy matchups this weekend, and can't wait to break it down. And we have a new closing segment. So thanks to my friends at Goals TV, I was gifted this. This is called Give and Go. It is a soccer card game. Every card tells a story. What's yours? Give and Go is the ultimate soccer card game packed with trivia challenges and conversation starters that bring fans together. With 3 game-changing categories, it's designed to get everyone talking, laughing, reliving their favorite footy moments on the couch, at the pub, or wherever the game takes you. Wherever you go, Give and Go. So, guys, go check this out. This is an awesome card game. Has a lot of great topics, a lot of little fun things. So at the end of every episode, we're gonna crack open a card, and as long as it's discussion based, we'll break it down. So that's gonna be an every episode thing until once all the cards have already been used. But it's a great card game. It's a lot of fun, especially when you're amongst a lot of footy fans. And it's a fun way to kill some time. So I think highly recommended. Go get one. Give and go. So that's where you go to. And make sure you follow them on their social media at let me see, we'll pull this thing up. At Give and Go Games. At Give and Go Games. So make sure you guys check this out. Give these guys some love, man. This is awesome. They have other games there as well that is football related. So go ahead and check them out, man. This is really awesome, by the way. Also, there's a yellow and red card in here. Have fun with that as well. But yeah, aside from that, man, make sure you guys follow us on social media, Instagram, X, Facebook. Obviously, Valentine's Day did pass this weekend. I hope everyone had a great Valentine's Day. I hope you guys enjoyed the Valentine's cards that we dropped on our social media. I hope you guys like those. Maybe you guys use those. But yeah, so this episode is going to be a lot to be discussed, a lot of catching up. And yeah, this should be a good one, man. I'm going to miss a lot of things, obviously, because there's just so much to talk about already. Yes, I know Cristiano Ronaldo is currently, I think he just came back with Al Nassr, but he obviously was not happy with the news of Karim Benzema leaving Al Ittihad to go to Al Hilal. But obviously, that's also Saudi League, so I really don't care too much to talk about it. I think it is hilarious that a lot of guys are leaving Saudi Arabia and going back to like playing for other leagues. So I thought that was interesting to note. But yeah, so with all that being said, man, we're gonna take a break and then we'll go right into what's been happening since we've been gone. Let me tell you guys about Belly Up Sports. Belly Up Sports is the internet sports bar. Go ahead and check out their website, www.bellyupsports.com, to read some great articles from great writers all across the country, from hockey, baseball, golf, soccer, you name it. Belly Up Sports is the premier, not your average website. All right, guys. So where the hell have I been? Where have I been? Where has Edward been? Honestly, Edward's just been doing his thing. Obviously, being a father, once again, he's getting in, being one with God. Obviously, that was a big goal of his this year, is to be more in tune with his faith. And not saying that that's the reason why he's not available, but he just has other things going on. But so he's been having that. But for me, and we kind of talked about it going into the last episode, which was, I was the best man for a wedding. I didn't anticipate how involved I was going to be with this wedding, being that I have never been a best man before. I've never been a groomsman before. But yeah, so it took a lot out of time for me to help with that. And so I didn't anticipate it to be as impactful as to me not being able to record an episode. I anticipated the weekend of the wedding to maybe have not been able to happen, but the week of the bachelor party, I was basically recovering because I really don't go out as much. I don't go out clubbing. I don't do that anymore. And so to do that as a 34-year-old, yeah, it was, and it's not even maybe not only that I'm 34 years old, but I'm also fat. Maybe that probably didn't help either. But yeah, it was draining. Didn't really have because I was just recovering. Not that I was hungover, but just recovering from the bachelor party. Didn't really record. I did record with Moussa. That was when we recorded the African Cup of Nations discussion. And then I was gonna try to tough it out, but the thing was it was Monday. Didn't record anything for the show which would have been Champions League coverage or something like that. Didn't do that. And then came Tuesday around, Wednesday came, and at that point, if I don't have anything ready, I was gonna be basically up till 3 a.m. to drop an episode that needed to be dropped ASAP. And so out of my sanctity, plus I still have to work and I still have other things going on. So I decided to, let's just not have an episode. I kind of knew already that we were not going to be able to do an episode for the wedding either, because I was always going to be busy with the wedding. So wasn't available for that either. Wedding was great. Awesome. Lot of fun. It was a great moment. It was like a huge honor, honestly, to be the best man for my friend's wedding. It's funny because there's a joke around my friends group that I'm gonna be the best man for all their weddings, and apparently that actually was gonna be a thing. I didn't know I was gonna be the best man till the maid of honor messaged me like a whole mess of things, like go here to get suits, go do this, go do that, go. It was like a lot of things, and I was just like, yo, who the fuck is this? Sorry for cussing, Kelsey, but I was really, I thought it was a spam text. But no, so that happened. But yeah, the wedding was great. It was beautiful. It was well done. Um, it's stressful. I mean, it's a wedding. It's always going to be stressful. But I think once it's like everything but prior to the wedding, right? Like everything prior before we finally get there, get to the podium, but when we get to the vows and everything like that, it's just stressful because you're trying to get everything ready and done. And so, but once we're at that moment, it was well, and I was really happy to be able to be part of that. Um, yeah, so it was a great experience. I think it's gonna be a while before I'm a best man for another wedding, but it was a really cool experience, and it's one of those unforgettable moments. You know what I mean? But yeah, so the wedding happened. On top of that, and this was actually happening while the all the wedding stuff was going on. Um, I received the unfortunate news that my grandfather was very ill. That actually prior to the new year, my grandfather was starting to get really sick. He eventually discovered that he had three tumors in him, and one of them was in his brain. So it was definitely it was terminal cancer. Like there was nothing that they were going to be able to do at this point, especially for his age. Like it just wasn't going to be possible. So he was in hospice. They basically told us 2 to 3 months was essentially his timeline. So the plan was for me and my brother to, because they live in Los Angeles, so the plan was to go to LA and see him at least one last time before he passed. Unfortunately, he didn't make it by the plans, by our original plans. But luckily, all we had to do was really just push our flight to LA earlier because that was essentially the week of his funeral. So we flew into me and my brother flew into LA. We stayed with our cousin, and yeah, so we did the wake in Los Angeles because my grandfather, his wish was he wanted to be buried in El Salvador. He wanted to be there with the Flores family. So so we did the wake in Los Angeles, and then my dad flew to El Salvador with my grandfather. Well, I think he was waiting there for my grandfather. He got there ahead of everybody. So my dad was there to get to receive my grandfather, and then they did another wake in El Salvador, and then buried him with the Flores family. And yeah, first of all, I want to thank everybody from Belly Up Sports, man. Everybody that took the time to reach out to me, send me their wishes, send their prayers. It's obviously not an easy experience. I think this one versus my grandmother's passing is a little bit different just because, my grandfather was really sick at this point, and I think at least most of the family, we were just all relieved, because he's not in pain anymore. I think, obviously 3 tumors is not how you want anybody to go, and especially being my grandfather. My grandfather is the epitome of hard work. He came into this country, leaving, escaping essentially El Salvador during a civil war, to have a better life. The quote unquote American dream, which I know right now probably doesn't seem, especially with everything that's been going on lately, seems kind of like a farce now. But he came here for a better life, and I think he really did do that. He became a business owner. He opened up 2 restaurants, actually a few restaurants in Los Angeles, but only has the one now. Was a property owner, and I think he set like a really great example for everybody in the family of just what it takes to really do something for yourself and for the family. Yeah, my grandfather was one of my many inspirations. He was the epitome of hard work. And I hope I can do my best to carry on his legacy. Also because my middle name is his name. I have Efrain. My grandfather's name was Efrain, and I'm Hector Efrain. So some really big shoes to fill with that name, with that middle name, and I hope I'm able to live up to it. But yeah, no, my grandfather lived a good life, a great life, and you know, I'm glad he's not in pain anymore. And it was great to see family. I wish, obviously under better circumstances, but it was still great to see family. It was great to see my cousins. It was great to see aunts, family members that I haven't seen in such a long time. To reunite with them once again. Like I just wish it was under better circumstances. Um, Los Angeles is an interesting city. Fun fact: I was born in Los Angeles. Then but I moved here to Houston when I was 11 months old. So I really do not consider myself Californian, nor would I want to consider myself Californian. I'm a proud Texan, true and true. But yeah, it was aside from the whole grandfather passing away. It was great to see some family, and it was great to reconnect with a lot of people that I haven't seen in such a long time. And I think that I think it's unfortunate that weddings, the weddings of funerals, that it brings a lot of people together. But and I think we all have like that that epiphany that we need to reach out more, and hopefully we do. Hopefully we do. But I think reality is life happens, and I don't never take anything personal. Like I'm not offended if no one reaches out to me, and it's mainly because like it's life, and when we do see each other, it's not gonna be weird. It's not gonna be awkward, which I definitely felt like that with seeing my family. It never felt weird. It never felt uncomfortable. It was just genuinely just great to see people, and so that's why I'm like I don't necessarily think it's like a bad thing if we don't reach out. Like if I can, cool. If I can't, I'm not offended. Like if you don't reach out to me, I get that you have your life going on, and so that's kind of what I mean. But yeah, it was great to see family, but I was also very grateful to come back to Texas. Like I just need to be back here, and but while I was in LA, we went to go watch the Super Bowl. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks for winning the Super Bowl. Congratulations, Sam Darnold. An amazing bounce back story for him. If you guys don't know, Sam Darnold, especially if you guys don't watch American football, Sam Darnold came out of USC. He was touted as a high prospect quarterback that could probably maybe be a good leader for a football team. He ended up going to the New York Jets, which if anybody knows anything about American football, they're essentially a dumpster fire of an organization. He went there, didn't have a great time, as to the point where many felt that he was just a bust, a flop. And he gets sent to Carolina, had a good run over there, but then obviously didn't come to full fruition over there. Then goes to Minnesota. Goes to San Francisco to be a backup. Then gets the opportunity at Minnesota, and it was just gonna be a backup because they had a drafted a quarterback. He gets injured, so Sam Darnold has to take over as starting quarterback. Leads Minnesota to a 14-win season, gets them in the playoffs. Unfortunately, has a terrible playoff game against the Los Angeles Rams, and then so Minnesota doesn't commit to him. They don't sign him don't give him a new contract. So he leaves and then goes to Seattle, where they commit to him, and he leads them to a 14-win season. So back-to-back 14-win seasons for him, or maybe not led, but he kept the ship going. He had a good very elite defense, and then in the playoffs, did what he needed to do, did his job, make sure that kind of minimized the turnovers and got them to the Super Bowl, and honestly, comfortably won the Super Bowl for the Seattle Seahawks. Also, a funny thing is in his draft class, it was him, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen. I'm sure that's a name that if you guys know a little bit about American football, you probably know. Lamar Jackson was in that draft class, and out of those guys, which Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are like MVP candidates very frequently, like he got a Super Bowl before those guys did, and so. Great comeback story. I was a big believer in Sam Darnold, so it was really cool to see that happen for him. The Super Bowl overall was, aside from one, I was hate watching the Patriots because I'm still really petty from one, I don't like the Patriots, and two, I'm still petty from the fact that the Texans got mollywopped like they did and I honestly said it wasn't because the New England Patriots were a better team. I think personally it was just that C.J. Stroud was giving them the game. He just played really bad. I think kind of similar to like Sam Darnold. All he had to do was just minimize the turnovers, make little mistakes, and the Texans were going to win it. Obviously, that didn't happen. So C.J. Stroud did kind of cost us the game. I've never felt that it was because the New England Patriots were the better team. I think for a fact that it was because C.J. Stroud cost the Texans a game, and so a lot of Texans fans are kind of pissed off. Kind of felt like they would have been in the Super Bowl had C.J. Stroud just played a little bit competent. But I think the way Sam Darnold was playing, I think he was clearly Seattle was clearly the best team, and it deserves that they won the Super Bowl. Also, halftime show was amazing, by the way. If here in the United States, a lot of controversy was coming from the whole Bad Bunny being the Super Bowl halftime performer because he sings in Spanish. He's not American. Look, Puerto Rico is an American colony, I think is what I don't want to say. I don't like colony, but so technically because you can travel to Puerto Rico without needing a passport if you live in the United States. It's vice versa for Puerto Rico as well. At least that's what I think. Don't quote on me, but it's a U.S. territory. So, but the hat one, I love Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny, like I honestly, I'm gonna say he's like the modern day Snoop, this like the Spanish version of Snoop Dogg, because the dude is just doing everything, like just like Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg just does whatever he wants. He wants to do a music video with some Indian performers, he's gonna do it. He wants to do a kids show, he gonna do it. Like Bad Bunny is kind of essentially now becoming like the Latin version of Snoop Dogg, where he's just doing him. Doing WWE. Snoop Dogg did some WWE stuff. He was in Happy Gilmore too. Like Bad Bunny, I think is just living his best life. He's having a lot of fun. I think he's just generally just a nice guy. Like he's just is what it is. It is what it is. But the Super Bowl halftime show was such controversial because of him being a Spanish performer. The halftime show was great. The music, the symbolism, everything was awesome. I loved it. I love that he gave a shout out to all the Latin countries because we are the Americas, like this region of the Western Hemisphere, the Western Hemisphere of this country, of this globe, is the Americas, and that includes all the way up from Canada all the way down to this is where I failed geography because I don't really remember what's the last place, maybe Peru, but yeah, all the way down, that's the Americas. So you have the United States, but you have the Americas, and that was the whole point of his performance. But yeah, it was cool. Jessica Alba was there for some reason. Pedro Pascal was there for some reason. Ricky Martin, which I was like, that was a cool pull for him. Lady Gaga singing a Spanish version of that song that got really popular on TikTok was pretty cool too. But yeah, I thought the halftime show was amazing. I loved last year's halftime show, and I love this even more. Bad Bunny, and so it's Bad Bunny. And I think it's a little different. I get it for people that didn't really like it, but like for me, growing up, like it's just cool seeing representation of, our people. We are also Americans, and I think that that's something that, we need to stop like separating everybody. At the end of the day, we all live here. We're all American, and so, we have people that live in the U.S. that speak Spanish. We have people here in the U.S. that have different cultures. That's the reason why the U.S. is called the melting pot. And I think we need to start embracing it, not viewing it as different, not going against. Because honestly, the U.S. the culture is unique because it is different. It's different from anything else because it's a mixture of everybody's cultures. So I think that like we need to stop trying to separate it and just try to embrace it. And I think that's what Bad Bunny did with his show. Like he embraced it. He it was funny because you had a wedding in there. Christian moral values. They would like it's like everything that America would stand for, right? And people didn't like it just because the guy spoke Spanish. That's the point where you had a competing and I don't want to say competing, but you had another halftime show with Kid Rock just doing mic flips and I know that he wasn't really like everyone's saying that he was poorly lip syncing. Everyone has some people do backtracks when they do a performance. I think that was just a backtrack, but yeah, not a good look for him. Yeah, I mean, am I a person that's going to be, I don't listen to this person because he listens to that? I barely listen to Kid Rock. I think the only song I know is that Bob did the Wah, which apparently people wanted to listen to that, but a guy speaks Spanish. No. But And I got a little, yeah, but I mean that's just what it is, man. I think halftime show was great, Super Bowl was great, but yeah, that's essentially what happened. The reason why we haven't been recording is just busy with a wedding, and then on top of that, my grandfather's passing. So that's why I haven't been around, and I apologize. I am going to. Honestly, I can't say I'm. This is never gonna happen because the reality is like this is one of those things where it just happens. Like I didn't anticipate my grandfather passing. Like even though, you know what I mean. No one could predict when it's our time to go, and so, but to throw it on top of a wedding and all that, it was a lot. And like I said, once again, thank you to everybody that reached out to during all this time. I don't know if I was really grieving at all. I did have like some moment of reflection, just because like all the memories of my grandfather, from school field trips to just days I would just hang out with him at the restaurant, or my grandfather doesn't really talk much. He'll say a few things, but he rarely talks. But he's that presence that like when he starts talking, you shut up and listen kind of thing, and it's gonna be interesting to see how life goes on without him. But I think at the end of the day, the thing that I'm just relieved is that he's no longer in pain, and he's no longer in pain, and he's reunited with my grandma and my uncle Hector. I think that's the beauty of it all, being able to be reunited with them, and so. But yeah, thank you so much to everybody that has reached out to me during this time. But we're gonna get back into the groove of things. We're gonna start getting back with the show. I promise you that for sure. Hopefully, there's no more other big things that happen for me for a while, at least for a good while. I'm trying to save up some money at this point. But also, I will give an update on the jersey bet in the MLS preview. So that's so you guys just be on the lookout for that. But with that being said, I'm gonna take a little breather because talked a lot, and we'll go right into the MLS season preview, 2026 season preview. Fight and win! All right, guys. So MLS kicks off this weekend, so we gotta talk about it. All right, we're gonna start with the East, and honestly, man, it's pretty straightforward, right? Like everyone knows who's the favorite, obviously. This past season, we got to see a lot of interesting things happen. Obviously, Heung-Min Son now in Major League Soccer. Olivier Giroud did not pan out in Major League Soccer. Inter Miami kind of going in a different approach to this season, which paid off for them tremendously. Which obviously because it ended with an MLS Cup trophy. And so now this season, there's some things to be interesting to follow. And so we'll start with the Eastern Conference first, and then we'll go to the West. In the Eastern Conference, I'm not gonna announce all the teams just because I once again did not really fully prepare too well in this episode. I probably could just pull up the standings, but I'm not gonna do that. Anyways, but if you guys are watching the video version, it's gonna be to my side there for the Eastern Conference. Now, when I was looking at the standings from the previous season, if there's a team that I would say might have a little bit of a dip, like a setback this season, I'm looking at Columbus Crew. I think that they have players. Obviously, they did. Obviously, Darrington Nabby is no longer in the MLS anymore because he retired. But big loss for them was Wilfred Nancy, right? He went away, went to Celtic, which that didn't pan out too well for him. But I don't think he's coming back to MLS. I think he's going to still try over there in Europe. Columbus Crew did bring in a manager. I believe he's European based. And honestly, man, a lot of these guys that come from Europe that come to manage MLS, it's just not the same. The approaches that you come in Europe. But look, man, let me just get this out of the way because I know people are gonna say something. I'm not a fan of the MLS format. I think the playoff format is perfectly fine. The people that complain that the MLS regular season doesn't mean anything, it does mean something because you got to get into a playoff position. But once again, and I've said this over and over again, Major League Soccer, they have to do something that is just, it's not easy, which is trying to get create a league, a football league, where the footy fans are gonna be able to comprehend, but at the same time, the American sports fans gonna comprehend. And what American sports fans understand is playoffs. And obviously, with the footy fan is football. Now, is the quality of football in MLS the same as in the Premier League? Absolutely not, and we need to stop acting like it is. It is apples and oranges. It's perfectly fine. I've watched Salvadorian League. I'm entertained. Is it the same quality as La Liga? No, but it's still a fun league. Liga MX. I love Liga MX. Is it the same as the Bundesliga? Absolutely fucking not. Sorry for cousin Kelsey. Major League Soccer. Is it the same as Premier League? No, but it's still enjoyable. It's still football. It's still the same sport. It's just the quality isn't there, and it's perfectly fine. You find some things that you enjoy from time to time. There are bangers from time to time. There's some good matches from time to time. Just like in any sport. Like you're telling me there's not a single boring match in Premier League. There's going to be a few stinkers. It's just in any sport. But as a matter of fact, right now I'm watching the FA Cup, and Arsenal's like beating the cheeks out of Wigan. Like that's just what Wigan. It just happens. But so that's all I gotta say. That's my little TED talk. Now, with that being said, I think with European managers, I think because they approach it like they would in the European calendar, it's a lot different, right? The schedule right now is different. It's gonna change next season. They're gonna go into that. They're gonna start having the season now be falling with the fall spring calendar like the rest of the world is. But right now we're still in that spring fall calendar, and the other big thing this year, there's going to be a pause for the World Cup, so there is also that to take in consideration. And Columbus Crew, so there's an unknown if this manager is going to be able to just go into this league, understand this league. Like, has he done his homework of this league before going in here? And I think that's going to be the big question for Columbus Crew. So for me, I think Columbus will be taking a dip this season. I don't think that they're going to fall out. I don't think they're not going to be in the playoffs. I think they can make a playoff push. But I do see like a little bit of a dip. And I think they might be a wild card team, at least in that respective, especially if you look where they were in the previous season. My most improved team, my team that will be improved, I think is Atlanta United. I think Atlanta United, it was a major disappointment. You bring back Miguel Almiron, you bring in Latte Loft, and you think that this team should be firing at all cylinders. That was not the case. I think that they're going to be an improved team. I think bringing back Tata Martino, a guy that has a lot of familiarity with Miguel Almiron, I think Latte Loft, if he's able to unlock him, could be a big thing for Atlanta United. So I think Atlanta United will be very improved. Is that meaning that they're going to be competing for MLS Cup? No, but I think that they're going to be in a better position than they were in the previous season. So that's my that's my improved team. My dark horse team is New England Revolution, and the reason why is because the manager that they brought in was the U20 coach for the U.S. men's national team, and I think he brought in Brooklyn Reigns. I think that's a really good piece for them. A guy that understands that manager's system. So I think that this team, there was moments where they didn't look terrible. They just weren't really good at scoring. I think defensively they were pretty good at that point. They were pretty decent. I think they can come into the season and kind of spoil the season. Like, I don't know if playoffs is the thing, but I can see them impacting standings throughout the year, and maybe they make a push in the playoffs. I think New England will be an interesting team to watch. Because I feel like they have something here. You still have Campana, you still have Gil. So I think that's going to be an interesting team. So that's my dark horse team for the Eastern Conference is the New England Revolution. My team to watch is Chicago Fire. I think for one reason only, they are speculated to get Robert Lewandowski. I think if they're able to get Robert Lewandowski, which you already have Kuipers, yes, you lost Brian Gutierrez. I think that's a big loss for them, as he's now over at Chivas de Guadalajara. But I do think Chicago Fire in the second year with Greg Berhalter could make a big jump. So I think that they are going to be a good team to watch. They made the playoffs last year. So I think if they can have a strong first half of the season and can get Robert Lewandowski in Chicago, which I think is going to be a great fit with the Polish influence that is in Chicago. Yeah, I think that this is going to be a real interesting situation over there. So that's my team to watch this season. My player to watch, and is a guy that throughout the MLS Cup playoffs I was kind of watching more and more, and that's Tadeo Allende from Inter Miami. Dude's really solid. I like how he played. I like how he stepped in, especially once they started benching Luis Suarez. I think that he is going. He got his extension with the team. I think extension, or he was secured with. I think he was a loan player. Now he's secured. I don't remember all the details, but he's with Inter Miami. I think that we're gonna see a lot more from him. I do think Luis Suarez ends up taking a step back and is gonna come off the bench more often this season. And I think it's because of the confidence that you have with Allende at this point. So I think he's going to be a really good player. I think he's going to benefit from a lot. I think Inter Miami is going to be resting a lot more of their players, mainly because I think Messi, if he feels that there's some tightness in him, he's going to rest because he wants to be in that World Cup and compete in that World Cup. And I think it's going to be similar to a lot of the guys that they have that will be in the World Cup, like Rodrigo De Paul, like that's probably it. But all the and also they so I think that's going to be my favorite for the East is going to be Inter Miami. I think that there's nothing you can say. They got a lot. They reloaded. You lose Sergio Busquets, you lose Jordi Alba, but you get Sergio Reguilon. You bring in Dane Sinclair, one of the best goalkeepers in Major League Soccer, goalkeeper for Canada. So you reloaded pretty well. I think you have some good players already. You bring in Mikhail, which is going to be torture for me, as he was once a dog for the Houston Dynamo. Houston Dynamo sold him to Palmeiras. Now he's back in the MLS with Inter Miami on loan. I think he's going to be a good fit for Inter Miami, especially in that back line. I think as the season progressed, defensively, Miami got a lot better. Maxi Falcon definitely found his groove a little bit better as the season progressed, especially in the playoffs, became very important in that playoff push. I don't think anybody, if anything, that's going to hurt Inter Miami is just the fact that they have, once again, a lot of competitions that they're going to be involved in. They're going to be obviously in the Champions Cup, which that's going to probably they're going to put more emphasis on that, at least initially, early on. But yeah, I think Inter Miami has figured it out. They don't, and I hate having to say it like this because obviously, me trying to defend the MLS regular season, they know they don't have to finish on top of the East. They just have to get in a playoff spot and hit that, get into that second gear, which they did it. They proved it because they were just very much the best team in the East. Didn't matter who they played against, whether it was FC Cincinnati or whoever was next on the docket. In the playoffs, they looked like the best team in Major League Soccer. Inter Miami is my pick for my favorite from the East. That's the Eastern Conference. All right, Western Conference. My team for the setback, and it might be just an easy pick, but I think it's San Diego FC. It's hard to stay on top, man. Like, they had a great first season. Obviously they just got beat by Vancouver. I think I just think the reality is, it's hard to top a great start to the season to their first year. I don't think they're gonna be out of the playoffs or anything like that. I just think they're gonna take a little dip. They did, all the drama that's coming from Chucky Lozano, but you still have a really good core of players. I think you have a good coach who made it very clear that Chucky Lozano is not part of the team. I just say they're gonna dip, just because they're gonna fall off from first place. I think they'll probably still be in a playoff, in a good playoff position. So that's where I'm at with San Diego. I think they're still gonna be a good team. I just don't think they're gonna be the best team in the West this season. Most improved team, I think, is the LA Galaxy. Ricky Puig did re-injure, or he something happened with his recovery, so he's going to be out again this season. But Gabby Peck is looking good again. Painsel's looking pretty good. They got players, man. They got a good team. They reinforced a lot of things around the team defensively. I believe they brought in Hack and another guy. So I think LA Galaxy, having just a tough season after winning the MLS Cup, and obviously kind of fell to the whole roster rules and everything like that. I think for people that are going to say, what happened with Inter Miami? Inter Miami let go of a lot of contracts. If you guys weren't paying attention, they let go of a lot of contracts to make sure that they were going to be good come the end of the season, because you can't make a move for Sergio Reguilon without being able to, first of all, move on from a lot of contracts. So I think that was kind of like where Inter Miami did it a little differently from the LA Galaxy. LA Galaxy just had to ship out a lot of players because they had to make up for all the all the bonuses and everything that came with it. So that's Inter Miami just playing like 3D chess versus everybody else playing checkers. I think that's really what it came down to it. But yeah, LA Galaxy, I do expect to be a very improved team this season. I think they can get into the playoffs, so that's where I'm seeing them. My dark horse team, and I might be biased, and I don't freaking care, it's the Houston Dynamo. I think they are going to be a problem this year. I think they're going. I think the defense is getting their dog back. Ache is back, which I think he's a great guy in the locker room. I think he brings this mentality, a very physical mentality guy. I think that it's great that he's back with Houston. I think that that's going to be an important thing. I think the Dynamo are going to be a problem this year. They're going to be dogs throughout the turn. They're going to make you earn points. If you're going to beat the Dynamo, you're going to have to earn that victory with them. So I think the Houston Dynamo are going to be a problem this season. I think the attack is looking really solid right now throughout the preseason. I know that's preseason, but still, they look really good. Yeah, I think this team is very much back, and I am prepared to get hurt again. I am just very much so. My team to watch is Minnesota United. Minnesota United did an amazing move by getting James Rodriguez. I think that was a great move for them. They already have a great fan base, and on top of that, now you're adding everybody in Colombia to support you. Yeah, I think James Rodriguez is a great decision. Obviously, he needs somewhere to be playing so he can be ready for the World Cup, where he's just going to unlock himself yet again. So, yeah, Minnesota United is going to be interesting. I think they're going to be really good. I think a lot of people are kind of iffy with them. I think they're going to be a good team. So I can't wait to see what Minnesota United does this season. My player to watch, I think it's going to be Heung-min Son. I think Heung-min Son could win the MVP this year. I think Messi's is going to be mindful about his matches. He's going to be mindful of his body. So I don't think he's going to take too many risks. Heung-min Son, when him and Danny Boanga are playing together, they just look fluid. And, with the rumors potentially that Antoine Griezmann is finally going to make his move to LAFC, make his move to MLS, and it more than likely is going to be LAFC, like, that is juicy. I think Heung-min Son is going to be the benefactor of all this, and I think he's going to is going to compete for the Golden Boot, and I think he's going to come out as the MVP of Major League Soccer this season. So I think Heung-min Son is going to be very important. And going into it, my favorite for the West is LAFC. I think LAFC, they just reload, man. They just reload. They get good players, and I think, especially if they're able to get Antoine Griezmann in that second half to get into the second half of the season, LAFC is going to be an interesting team to watch. I think LAFC versus Inter Miami might be a really good final. I am not going to pick a team to win, but I do think that this is going to be a very interesting MLS season with all the facts that there's going to be a break for the World Cup. Some of the things that they're changing this year. And of course, going into 2027, there's going to have a short season, and then they're going to move in to the new calendar. So all these things are going to be really cool into anticipation. Inter Miami's new stadium. Is Robert Lewandowski going to come in? Are we going to see Antoine Griezmann finally in Major League Soccer? Like, is Cristiano Ronaldo going to come to Major League Soccer? Like, all these things, I can't wait to find out this season of Major League Soccer. It's going to be important that Major League Soccer is able to get more eyes on them. They're making some good decisions. I'm glad they removed MLS Season Pass. I'm glad that it now, just with a standard Apple TV account, you're going to be able to watch Major League Soccer games. So I think that this is an important year for Major League Soccer. I think that if they're able to get enough eyes on them, especially in a World Cup year where there's going to be so much excitement and energy, if they can go into that second half of the season and really pay it off, I think that this could be great for the league. So that's where I'm at. Also, update. So I sent an email to the winner. He didn't respond. And so I'm still going to do a jersey giveaway. But because of just obviously lack of communication, I'm going to now award it to two people. So two people are going to win a jersey, because of people can't respond to emails. So there is now a new, in this episode, in the comment section, you're going to see not in the comment, in the description, there's going to be, description or comment, it's going to either be the pinned comment or it's going to be, on the bio. There's going to be a Google form. Go in, fill it out, and then in a month. So March 19th, the episode of March 19th, we'll announce the winner on the episode, but we will also be emailing the winners. Just fill out the information, and we'll get everything situated for those jerseys. So, like I said, we're picking two winners this time because my bad. And so there's gonna be a jersey giveaway, and so you guys don't worry about that. But that is the MLS season. I can't wait for it. I'm gonna take another break because I need to drink some water, and then we'll go into Champions League.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
All right, guys. Champions League. Obviously, at this point, the first leg of the playoff round has already been played. But you know what? Since when do we ever do things on time? All right. The top 8 teams that finish in the league stage of the Champions League. In first place is Arsenal, undefeated by the way. Second place, Bayern Munich. Third place, Liverpool. Fourth place, Tottenham Hotspur. Fifth place, Barcelona. Sixth place, Chelsea. Seventh place, Sporting. And eighth place, Manchester City. If you guys are watching the video version, of course, the standings is right to my side. Now, the teams that are in the play-in round. I'm just gonna have the matchups, and as soon as now, if you watch the video, if you're watching the video version, the matchups are right there. So you have 9th place Real Madrid taking on 20. I should probably mention Real Madrid at this point. So Real Madrid was originally at 3rd place going into the last day of the Champions League stage. They lose to Benfica in just embarrassing fashion and went all the way down to 9th place. So they went from having a secure spot in the round of 16 to now being in the playoff round again. And, you know, as someone that maybe just doesn't know how to feel about this season for Real Madrid, honestly, at this point, I'm still salty that that Xabi Alonso is no longer the manager of Real Madrid. Yes, some people can say he wasn't great, but yes, did he not have the locker room? I think that's where he failed. I think that's exactly where he failed. He just didn't have the locker room support. But I think also the players, there's just too many egos, I think, in that locker room. And the battle right now that Arbeloa is having is just finding a way to get this team to be productive. Because if you guys watch their match against Real Sociedad, who has been on a tear since Pellegrino Matarazzo, the American, has took over, they've looked pretty solid. I think with Real Madrid, when you don't have Mbappe, when you don't have Jude Bellingham, this team looks very structured and actually works really well. The question is, how can you get all your guys, all your star players, all your stars are there, how do you keep the structure? And so the question really is going to be going into the season, like, do we really need Vinicius Jr.? I think Mbappe is safe, honestly. Do we really need Jude Bellingham? Do we really need this guy, that, and the third? Like, that's going to be the questions that's going to be asked this summer. Like, do we really need these guys? Like, because if Real Madrid's seeing that, like, hey, we're not playing well with all our guys, but then these matches where Mbappe's not there, they look really good. When Vinny's not there, they look really good. When Jude's not there, they look better. You know, like, those conversations are going to be made. And I think if you want to be Jude Bellingham, if you're Jude Bellingham, you're Vinny and Mbappe, you got to figure it out how to get all three of y'all on the pitch together and looking fluid and structured. Hey guys, this is Hector from the Insert Name FC podcast, here to tell you guys about Canada Dips. It is a great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip, using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. It comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. Canada Dip CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing guys to enjoy great, long-lasting taste without the downsides. If you guys want to go ahead and try them out, use the code BELLYUP20 at CanadaDipCBD.com. Once again, BELLYUP20 at CanadaDipCBD.com, and you'll get yourself 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for Canada Dips for being a great partner of Belly Up Sports. Because that's the big thing. That is going to be the big thing at the end of the day. Can you keep that structure and push on? At least for me. That's going to be the big question mark. Because in your guys' viewpoint, the bad guy is gone, right? Xabi Alonso, the mean man, is no longer there. So now it's on you. If you cannot perform and live up to what the promises that you gave to Florentino Perez and everybody else, which, by the way, are officially no longer in the Super League. Like, the Super League is finally disbanded, thank God. But, like, if you cannot prove to these guys that this team is good, they're going to move on from you. Arbeloa, I don't think he's going to be the manager for next season. So whichever manager comes in, if they think that you're not part of this team, they're going to move on from you, because that's what Real Madrid does. So I think this is essentially this is their audition. This is their audition to stay with Real Madrid next season. So we'll see how that all goes. But so Real Madrid in the playoff round are going to play against Benfica. 24th place Benfica, who, because of beating Real Madrid, got into that final spot to get into the playoff round. So Real Madrid now has to play again against Benfica. So there's a redemption opportunity for these guys to prove that what happened was just a big mistake, and to repay to the Madridistas, because if not, this is going to be one of the biggest upsets in the competition. Now, so these games are going to be played February 17th and the 25th. So, like I was saying, first leg has already been played. So the next game will be on the 25th. The winner will either face Sporting Lisbon or Manchester City, depending on the draw. But that is the two places that they could end up playing against. The two teams that they could be playing against. We got 10th place Inter Milan taking on 23rd Bodo Glimt, which will be the 18th and the 24th. And they are potentially also Sporting or Manchester City. So I think that this is going to be should be a pretty straightforward match. I think Inter Milan definitely finding a really good groove over there in the Serie A right now. They're looking strong. Maybe, like, here's the thing though with the playoff round, because obviously the last year was the first year of this format, and we saw a team that came out of the playoff round mollywop everybody to the final. So I think that this is going to be really interesting to see how that there's really no clear-cut way of how to win the Champions League in this format. Like, you could be a playoff team. You could, maybe being undefeated in the league stage isn't a good thing to be. So, because obviously that happened with Liverpool. So we're going to start seeing more and more trends. We're going to start learning the trends of this competition as more years go, that maybe it's not good to be in the top 8. Maybe it is good to be in the playoff round. We'll see how that goes. But Inter Milan, obviously last year was the best defensive team in the Champions League. Now they're in the playoff round against Bodo Glimt. Which honestly I'm just going to say, they're just very much happy to be here. But it's going to be a really interesting matchup, 18th and 24th. So the 24th will be their next match, obviously, because they already played it. Last year's champions, PSG, 11th place, going up against 21st place Monaco, which, if you remember, PSG's run started with them mollywopping Lille. So could this be the same thing, or can Monaco end it and there's going to be a new Champions League winner this year? So we'll see. So I think this is going to be an interesting matchup. Monaco has looked pretty decently over there, so we'll see. But PSG is still PSG. So PSG getting some familiarity before going into the round of 16 would be kind of deja vu, if you will. We got 12th place Newcastle United taking on 22nd place Qarabag. Once again, another team that's just happy to be there. Newcastle United, I think, is an interesting team. They're going to be playing on the 24th, the second leg. Both PSG, the matchup with PSG and Monaco, and Newcastle United and Qarabag, these winners could potentially be facing either Barcelona or Chelsea. So that'll be interesting, especially with PSG and Chelsea being that is the Moussa Bowl. So we'll see what happens there. And then we have 13th place Juventus taking on 20th place Galatasaray, which their next match will be the 25th, because obviously they already played the first leg. And then we have Atletico Madrid, 14th place Atletico Madrid taking on 19th place Club Brugge, playing on the 24th. And in these two matchups, they can either face Liverpool or Tottenham in the next round. We have 15th place Atalanta taking on 17th place Borussia Dortmund. And I think that's actually going to be a really great matchup. That might be the matchup I'm watching. More focus on besides the Real Madrid one. And 16th place Bayer Leverkusen taking on 18th place Olympiacos. Which the Atlanta match will be on the 24th, and then the Leverkusen match will be the 25th. And these two teams, the winners could be facing either Arsenal or Bayern Munich, depending on the draw. Now, predictions-wise, I'm going to say Real Madrid does not learn from their mistakes, and they're not going to lose to Benfica. I think they'll want to get their revenge against Jose Mourinho and his team. So I think Real Madrid does beat Benfica. I think Inter Milan does what they're supposed to do against Bodo Glimt. I think once again with what they're able to do defensively and on the attack, I think they're going to be a little bit overpowering for Bodo Glimt. PSG and Monaco. This one might be a little bit intriguing just because, like, let me see, when was the last time PSG and Monaco faced off? Let me see. Well, let's see. So the last time they faced was November 29th, and Monaco won. So it was a 1-0 victory. So this team, it could be a really interesting matchup. I'm actually, like, just really intrigued in general of this matchup. But yeah, it honestly should be a good match. Obviously this is the two teams that Mbappe played in France. So I think it's gonna be a really good one. I'm gonna go with PSG. I think PSG when they play against another team in Ligue 1, I think they're just gonna be good. I know this is kind of a slower. We haven't really been talking about PSG as much, but they're still a really good team. So I would say that PSG, keep an eye on them. I think they're gonna move on to the next round. Newcastle United taking on Karabakh. I expect Newcastle United to handle Karabakh and move on to the next round. Juventus and Galatasaray. Galatasaray is a frisky team. I don't want to try to spit any disrespect to Galatasaray, but Juventus should be able to do well against Galatasaray. Juventus has kind of been a little bit overwhelming at times, but I think that they're gonna get it done against Galatasaray. 14th place, Atletico Madrid and Club Brugge. Give me Atletico Madrid. I think they're going to be very overpowering for Bruges, and I think they'll move on to the next round. Atalanta and Borussia Dortmund. This is where I'm conflicted because I really like both teams. Both kids are going to be beautiful over there in these matches, but I'm gonna take Borussia Dortmund. I think Borussia Dortmund is going to move on. That one's going to be a really good matchup. Look out for Lookman. I think Lookman might be a problem for Borussia Dortmund, but we'll see. And then 16th place Bayer Leverkusen versus 18th place Olympiacos Leverkusen. I think Leverkusen, despite all the drama that started early on in the season with Ten Hag, definitely bounced back. So I think the teams that will be moving on is Real Madrid, Inter Milan, PSG, Newcastle United, Juventus, Atletico Madrid, Borussia Dortmund, and Bayer Leverkusen. Am I picking the bigger name teams? Probably, but they are the bigger name teams for a reason. And so hopefully this doesn't bite me in the ass. But you never know what happens with this show. But anyways, so that is it. We're gonna go ahead and move on to AFCON talk with Moussa of Mo Football TV. We recorded it way back. It's gonna start with a fun, interesting conversation about Real Madrid. And then, for you guys' reference, this was after the match that Real Madrid got eliminated by Albacete in the Copa del Rey when they got eliminated. And also, I think there was another match where every time Jude Bellingham or Vinicius had the ball, they got booed. So, just so you have a frame of reference when this was discussed, and then we go into the whole African Cup of Nations. So, enjoy.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
All right, guys, we got Moussa back from Mo Football TV. Obviously, a pleasure. Fun fact: there was a weird thing that just happened right now. I don't know what the hell happened, but anyways, we're back here. Moussa, obviously, great to have you back on. You're gonna talk about AFCON for a bit, but I was intrigued because literally right before we get to this part of this episode, I'm gonna have like a full rant about my thoughts with the whole Real Madrid and Xabi Alonso thing. I've said a lot of things already at this point, but especially with how you have the fans booing players, right? Like you got every time Vinny touched the ball, every time Jude Bellingham touched the ball, and I'm assuming everybody that I guess would be quote unquote an anti-Xabi guy, because I do think a lot of Madrid fans love Xabi Alonso, and I think he was the most logical choice at the time, right? Like we say that all the time, right? At the time, this guys make sense, like in all essence of it. But I think a lot of Madrid fans were just frustrated because they were prepared to see what Xabi could do. Obviously, a guy that played for Real Madrid, has won with Real Madrid, has won everywhere else as a manager, still very young, but having some really good success nonetheless in his short career. as far as I know you already said it, but let's go over it again. Um,
Right.
is it for you? Was it just the tactics wasn't great, or was it just him not? And I guess Henri kind of said it right, like too much coaching, not enough managing. Is that
Yeah.
what's fitting for Xabi Alonso?
And well, especially for the superstars that you have when you have that much superstars, I think probably the people management side of things is probably as more important than the tactics. And I think that almost applies to any coaching almost, right? The people management of things works a little bit better because like I mentioned on our unrecorded part, that Ancelotti, the first thing that a lot of players talk about is his people management.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Brazil now. One of the few things that comes up and why they're playing well now is his people management. Zidane, these people's management. Mourinho, their people management. So those that have been able to have like great success with so many big names typically have sort of that people management, and then the tactics kind of follows. But also we have to remember we're in a different generation of soccer players as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where a lot of them now have maybe even a bigger status even before they produced anything as much.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we say most of those teams have big names, but if you compare their names compared to the Galactico before, they have not won anything compared to the previous people. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just maybe just the pressure, people management, big ego, new coach-ish. And I don't think many of that generation of players have seen Xavi probably play at Real Madrid and kind of get a feel of what he means to the club, because the fans pretty much show them that, hey, he's one of us, played for us, won trophies for us, has the status. He went and learned somewhere else and came back. And that's why some of those players are getting it, because even though they're the superstar, they still don't have the status that Xavi has at Real, and probably will never unless they do something spectacular in their career there.
Because have you ever seen anything like this? Like where the fans are, okay, maybe we could say Manchester United is definitely up there where fans that have kind of got tired of that.
The one, my home team, PSG, if you think about it, with Messi, it was that kind of that relationship where he did not bring the Champions League like that was promised and all of that, where there was time he was getting booed and all that for that reason. So I do see sometime if you try to over deliver in some type of the world, there's fans that will show you that the club is bigger than you no matter who you are.
Yeah, I think that's the reality of it. I think, and I a lot of people try to like go back to the era with Real Madrid where there was Cristiano Ronaldo and Benzema and Ricardo. I think it's hard to describe. Like if you talk about egos, it's Ronaldo, right? Benzema, I never saw him as an egotistical player. Ricardo Kaká, I don't even think ego is even in his dictionary.
No.
So, but like even in those generations, and I mean, you can even talk about like the later on ones, like Casemiro, he was a developed player. Toni Kroos, I don't think ego is the right word for him either.
No, he was very quiet. Maybe that's why they're missing in that part is the leadership part of the people that are in the high status of soccer players, but are quiet enough by nature. Like Modric, right? Those were the names where you had huge ego, but then you had those guys that were just in the middle doing their job, and you don't really know who they are. Mm-hmm. But now you have those big names that came with high expectations. There's only 90 minutes. If 5 or 6 players want to score hat tricks, there's not enough passes to make to give all 5 of them hat tricks. Exactly. So I think it's probably some of those where they're used to scoring a lot of goals where they are, or to be the main person. And Real Madrid maybe does not have that figure just yet to see who's going to be able to pull up or shut up.
Essentially, you're telling me is they need an N'Golo Kante.
Or Modric,
Or
right?
Modric.
Those guys that are right in the middle that are the silent generals. That's how I call them, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do all the right things. Everybody gets the accolades. They don't. But once you hear them, you see them, and they do their thing. So maybe that's what's missing is that subdue, settled player. It doesn't have to be a midfielder. It could be a defender, but there's a lot of superstars, but not as much soccer players.
Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying there. But obviously, just did a whole rant before we get to this point.
Hey.
So you'll hear that. Obviously, you guys already heard that part. But we're here to talk about AFCON, man. If you can use, I was gonna say a word, but I don't think that's fair. Like if you can use a phrase to like sum up AFCON, the 2026 AFCON or 2025 AFCON, or did they call it? I mean, it's
25
going into 2026. I guess you could say. This edition of AFCON, like what would be the phrase you think of?
Welcome to Africa. I think that'll probably be the perfect definition, or African football, but I think that'll probably be the perfect definition. I think the tournament maybe have gone too well and needed a little bit of spice. And fortunately, someone heard we need a little bit of spice, and they decided to put the whole carton out in the final.
Yeah, this final, obviously, Senegal. Congratulations, Senegal wins 1-0 in a very went to extra time. A lot of people thought it was going to be over because of a controversial penalty, and I want you to go. This is your full send opportunity to share your thoughts on that penalty and kind of the events that happened immediately after that, where you have the manager of Senegal basically telling the guys to get off the field.
And I think there's like multiple events that I've went to a deep black hole, unfortunately, to see what actually happens, which I don't recommend anyone to do, especially on the internet. But I don't think the PK specifically is like the trigger. I think the biggest thing is the disallowed goal with the header, and then 2 minutes later, just to turn around and then reward it, technically a soft PK, because you and I know if you watch the EPL and this specific action happens, you do not get the PK unless it's you took the guys. It's clear that you've taken them with you. Diaz probably should have gotten a yellow too, because he started screaming at the ref. But I think it was a sequence of events that led to the PK, and then everything else go to shambles. The more I was watching it, I think probably the game should have been stopped or paused when the ball boys and the security from the stadium were wrestling the backup goalkeeper from Senegal for the towel.
Yeah, the towel. I need to know about this towel. Like, what is the importance of this towel?
Well, if you know, like for goalkeepers, because it rains a lot in Morocco, right? So we all know that the number one thing for goalkeepers is the grip on their gloves, right? So that's the reason why before every game, if you watch them, they spit on their gloves, right? So that counts the grip of the glove. So it's a rainy days. Everybody knows that when it rains a lot, goalkeepers have towels, usually maybe sometime on the net or on the ground. I guess, where a equipment manager, so you probably know that one where, so every time it's raining, if you watch him when he threw the towel at Mendy first wiped his face and then wiped his gloves so that it's less wet, so he has more grip. But they did that with Nigeria and other teams. So that's where Senegal was aware of what was happening in previous games. So once they saw that, I guess the first two towels were stolen by a ball boy and a security, the second goalkeeper is like, it's not going to happen again. So he went and he literally guarded a towel for the second half.
It's just funny because you have now two goalkeepers protecting two different sets of things.
Yes. And then you watch the videos, right? So the ball boys are fighting with the backup goalkeeper right at the line. You and I have been, in those stadiums,
it
right?
was literally like watching a dog, like two dogs fighting for a bone.
And it was 3 or 4 ball boys that were fighting him. I would have thought that with all the cameras you have, all security would have come up like, well, kid, you're a ball boy. You should take the ball, jump over the fence, and sit down.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we know. So I think that's where that should have stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And be like, hey,
the
game is going on, and there's a fight behind the net with ball boys. I would have thought someone would have said, hey, what's going on? And then the whole fight with the fans. I've watched videos. I'll probably chant, and it looks bad, very bad. So I'm just waiting to see what kind of triggered all of that. The reactions was bad, but I'm wondering who kind of started the whole fans versus security. So for me, what my biggest takeaway is the people acted bad, yes, but where the heck was the security?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the final of your continental tournament. I would think that everybody, everybody and their brothers would be there guarding to make sure nothing goes wrong.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, especially for AFCON, like, which is a lot. Once again, a lot of unnecessary things that are said with AFCON, with the whole managers very hesitant about letting their best players go and play in this tournament. Which is, I think, is a whole load of
that's a whole nother show.
But it already doesn't get the love and appreciation that it deserves from across the football world. Where, like, once again, you and me have talked about it a few times. Like, hopefully, a guy can have a standout performance in AFCON and maybe help elevate so we can get that second African player to lift the Ballon d'Or. But, like, when you see that, and it's kind of the same thing with CONMEBOL, right? Like, when we had Copa America here in the U.S. where people were forcing their way into the stadium. But unfortunately, instead of talking about CONMEBOL just doing a terrible job with their security, they blame the United States and like, oh, this country's not ready to host the World Cup. Look at what they're doing. And it's like, U.S. has nothing to do with that tournament. It's all CONMEBOL. They're responsible for security. They're responsible for ticketing. All those things comes through them, not from the U.S. The U.S. is just literally hosting it. Like, there's nothing aside from that. Like, we're just the venue. And
and if that's the case, then it's their job to work with the local authorities to make sure that there's proper setup. Mm-hmm. So I think with everything that's happening, people are just talking about kind of the event. But I think one of the things is they're supposed to host the 2030 World Cup, right? And it has multiple countries. And just imagine, this is a stadium where alcohol was not served.
Mm-hmm.
So just wait when you're going to add other countries that will have alcohol on top of that and everything else. If your security is not able to manage the AFCON, which is within your continent with 2 countries, the whole world coming, there's going to be problem. Mm-hmm. So I think everything that's happening, I'm sure there will be review of that as well. But that does not excuse any of the actions that all of them have something to do with. I understand, high pressure games and all that, but at the end of the day, it's not worth getting yourself in that much trouble, paint both countries badly.
Mm-hmm.
And then people going online, as you know, just filthy. Like, it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching those things, it's bad. So, and the tournament was going well, mostly well until towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately, that's what all people are talking about. It was great stories, goals, teams. I mean, Morocco's facilities were top class. It's just, and the referees were not so. I don't know if you remember. I think last year I praised all the referees because they did such a great job. This one was a complete opposite of what we've seen. So I think Thierry Henry mentioned that the skills level, the team preparation, the infrastructure, the whole tournament was well and was ready, but the referees were not up to the level of the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what caused a lot of the arguments to fight on that game. And I think the referee has a huge chip on what had happened. Because a couple of those those bad decisions, he would have turned it. I don't think there would have been that much of a push if that goal that happened was allowed like it should have happened. I can guarantee you that PK would not have been that big of an issue, because at least you played both sides, and no one wants to end the game on the questionable PK.
Definitely.
So yes, those punishments not gonna be pretty.
No, yeah, no, I can only imagine. Obviously, going more towards, I guess now the more positive of this tournament. For you, obviously, we saw a few nations that will be featured in 2026, I'm just gonna, obviously, I feel like you're gonna, not Senegal, not using Senegal. I feel like Senegal is probably obviously a very capable team, and I definitely can't wait to see their matches in the World Cup, especially that very juicy matchup with your homeland of France as well. That's going to be a very
Let's not talk about that one.
A home divided, more so a Moussa divided. Yes. So
how about I just wear CD stuff?
Yeah, you might just have to. But for you, aside from them, what's a nation that, and I know, of course, Congo is not technically a World Cup nation, because they're still pending a tournament. But like, you can also throw Congo if you want to. But what is that nation right now that you feel like, okay, this team definitely cemented at least some stability towards that 2026 World Cup?
That's a good question. Man, I don't think I have more of a disappointed one that has not made it to the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most of the team that have made it to, wow. I'll say Morocco. Why not? I think they did it well enough and managed their game well enough to still have the next ceiling for the next World Cup.
Do you in any way feel the addition of having Brahim Diaz, who made the swap from Spain to Morocco, was that a very important swap in your opinion to help? Morocco, obviously the previous World Cup, made it to the semifinal. A lot of things were said about Morocco as far as how they move up from that. Do you feel like, is Brahim Diaz not I don't want to say missing piece, because that just sounds like I'm just being a bullish Real Madrid fan, but how important is Brahim Diaz? I mean, he was the leading goal scorer for the tournament, and how important is he for Morocco to help him maybe get to that final?
I think he's a great piece for Morocco, because I think a lot of the work was on Hakimi's shoulder to have to do defense and offense. I think that with him, it kind of unlocked a lot more of the creativity and more of like the transition between defense and offense. So I think and he was like almost the focal point, but was still able to perform. So I think he was a great addition to the team. They just maybe need an additional one or two that if they can pry from somewhere else to kind of help balance the scale, because their offense is great, defense is great, but midfield, if you think about it, outside of Diaz, do you recall any of their players that you would put there?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was a great addition. You just need maybe one more creative midfielder or a CDM to kind of help him in the back. But I think right now their biggest job is to make sure that Diaz, after the fiasco of that PK, that he just does not just, go and drop in this deep hole of, grievance and what could have happened. Because I think mentally will probably be his biggest challenge from now to the World Cup.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely agree. I guess for you, like, what nation would you say was the most disappointing from the World Cup teams?
I don't think anyone kind of pointed to that. Well, has Algeria made it to the World Cup?
I think I believe they qualified.
Because if they have I probably will say their game against Nigeria was probably like their biggest challenge, and I think they kind of fumbled that big time.
Okay, yeah, Algeria's in the World Cup, so
yes, I think
they start things off with Argentina. So
yeah. So you let Nigeria whoop you, and what? No shots on goal. Like no shots on goal. So that means Messi's most likely last World Cup. He has 15 bodyguards. Like, I'm not too sure how ready they are if they weren't able to at least have a game against Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was probably the team that was clearly more disappointed towards the end of the tournament. Because 0 shots on goal, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, very true. For this World Cup, this World Cup, this AFCON, what was like your biggest surprise? What nation really jumped on you from the way they played in this tournament?
I think I'll probably will, even though they didn't make it that far, even though they came out of the group stage, was Sudan. I think them just with everything that's happening in their home country, that they were actually able to play well and get out of the group stage and actually lead Senegal 1-0 with a goal that was out of this world, and still had the drive to make it outside the group, because we know there was other countries that technically on paper were better, but were grouped. So just coming out of that group stage and then get beat by the now champs, they should definitely hold their head high a lot more with their performance.
Yeah, I think in the reality with these tournaments, everyone's going to look at the paper first before they go into that matchup, but at the end of the day, you got to play the game. And you're right. Sudan was really surprising for me. I didn't know much about Sudan going into it, but they came what they were supposed to. They came to play this tournament. I don't think anybody had any high expectations of them, but I think that they did very well for themselves. And yeah, you're absolutely right. If you can go in and go toe to toe with the eventual winner, you can definitely put that and obviously take that with you to wherever you're going to, whether it's your clubs or wherever else your next ventures.
Yeah. Especially for a team that did not even practice at home, they had to go to other countries to have their friendlies, their games, and qualifying because of the unrest in their country. So that mentally, physically, spiritually, everything is against you, and you still can go to Morocco play 3 games, do enough to find yourself outside the group, you can definitely have a lot of takeaways from that performance.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at RighteousFelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you this question because, like, obviously you put me on Mali. You put me on Mali. And I was, I've been, watched them in the last AFCON, watched them in the Olympics, and then obviously I was getting excited to see them in this edition of AFCON. In your perspective, how do you feel about, Mali did come out the group, but 3 draws, and then following that, I believe it was a loss to Senegal, but it was in the quarterfinal. But still draw.
But look who they grouped with.
Yeah. No, valid point.
Yeah. So I think, especially for the way they've played and give Morocco a run for their money as well. So I think it was just the time. So they've performed well enough. And I think that's where the experience of Senegal took over of what Mali had. And also Mali is the, fast physical team. But the technical aspect of it is where the difference is when they play against a team that maybe has a little bit more of the technical acumen, right? So they can bully a team with their physicality, but if someone else comes with that physicality, then it kind of cancel each other out, and that's where some of the aha moment does not happen so well for them. But it was not that bad of a tournament. Usually they get out in the group. Get grouped.
Yeah, but yeah. So I once again, I'm gonna continue to be intrigued by Mali. I think that I like how that nation has been progressing. Plus, their kits are just phenomenal.
Yes,
I will say when I was watching this tournament, there was a fan base that really just won me over, and I'm sure if you listen to when me and Edward were talking about like explain the play-in rounds and all that I'm a huge fan of the Congo. Like,
yeah, I knew it.
I love the name. I love saying the Congo. By the way, I told Edward, I was like, hey man, if they come play here in Houston, I'm gonna be the Moroccan guy that's dancing with the Congo people. Like I love this the crowd's energy. The big dude that was dancing on the chair, like I love that guy. The guy that became like a celebrity throughout the whole tournament.
Mamba, yes. I guess the historical I guess we'll say he beat the colonizers. That's why he's so popular.
Yeah, and I once really impressive, by the way, because he stood like I'm sitting at some point. I'm at some point sitting down. Like this dude, not only was he standing, but he also had his arm out. That sucks. I mean, like, it's not an easy thing to do. That guy definitely prepared himself accordingly, especially wearing what he's wearing, because those shoes, I'm sure at some point it's gonna get uncomfortable. So
yeah, he was the best dressed guy in the stadium.
Definitely. So yeah, the fans of Congo won me over. I'm really hoping that they come out of their bracket in the FIFA qualifiers, because I want to see the Congo. I think that the fan base has definitely won me over on them. That was to me just the best. But was there a fan base that won your heart besides Senegal?
Oh, dang it!
I know who you're gonna pick.
Yeah.
That's like
No,
that's like if you ask me like, hey, from these Central American countries, like, as I'm
I
wearing
don't
a
know
El
if
Salvador shirt.
I don't know if I can say one specifically since I've seen a lot of them. Um, I think it's more so of like the entire what AFCON is the fans that comes with, there are many costumes and chants, and just it's a lot more vibrant,
Mhm.
right? And everybody gets along and have fun. There's always those memes where they see, beautiful woman, and then they see guys getting numbers and all that. That's
The
always a
the
meme
the
that happens.
cameraman was definitely busy at that tournament.
Yes, and that's always one of those funny things where people's like, all right, so who is it next? And I think it's more seeing all the vibrant colors. And yes, many people think, Africa is just one big thing, even though there's 54 countries. So that means 54 states. That means 54 different cultures that has different cultures within them. So I think I just like to watch the whole stadium and see, which costume from what country and what they're going to come with
Mhm.
next. And you can tell they're having a blast. And I always say there's like no alcohol involved. And if people are having that much fun without having something to make them happy, it's soccer that's making it.
Yeah, I mean, like I've said it before, man. This is football as purest form. I wholeheartedly believe that is what it is with AFCON. It's as humble as it can be. Not even just like the professional level, but even going straight down to the grassroots of it all. Like, I mean, they are literally the depiction of all you need is a ball, and
Huh?
we can make up some goals. And I think that it's the things that we loved as kids, right? Where like, do we have an official field? No, but we're about to make one today. So
Oh, yeah.
like I think that it just goes back down to like the grassroots of the game and why we actually love this game. When you get rid of the money, when you get rid of just take all that the sponsors and all that stuff out of the table, and when it just goes back down to the game, and it's just like the goals that we got to see, the dances, the celebrations. This is what we did as kids, and I think that for me, as pure and as fundamentally as fun as it is, this is what AFCON brings to you. It's the game at its purest form. I wish I could say CONCACAF could do that too, but it's more violent over there, and which I love.
I'm sure there's those parts that are having it as well. I think it's just, as we all know, the bad moments usually get promoted the most.
Mhm.
And that's what made me more disappointed on what happened at the final, because what we were all seeing, even though there was bad, decisions, bad things on the pitch, but outside of it, there was none of that discussions of bad things happening.
Mhm.
It just happened that it's the final that showed that bad things were happening around the stadium
Mhm.
or inside the stadium. Anyone that watched all of the socials, um, if maybe sometime if you speak French, you might be able to see people traveling there. But all of the stories, all of the people that do all of those recordings, if all you saw was people having a blast, people have enjoying each other, and then got all erased within technically 10 minutes
Mhm.
because it was towards the end of the game.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure, man. But obviously Senegal wins it. I'm sure amidst all that, amongst all the drama that happened near the end.
Yeah.
But I do want to ask that question. This one question, because obviously, your manager makes it abundantly clear that he wants the guys to leave the pitch. And it seems that the Senegalese Federation was backing him for what what he decided to do. Um, in that moment, where were you in that moment when you see that your team's manager is like, I'm not I'm not dealing with this crap. Let's get out of here.
I think at first we didn't really see, I guess, the movement of him telling them. We saw the players leaving, but I think it was almost towards the end of the whole chaos that we started to hearing that it was the coach that was telling them to. So at that moment, I was like, what the heck is happening? So it was more of the confusions of things. I think he probably could have managed it better. But then I'm also wondering, like, all of your assistant coaches, all of the people that were around it, couldn't they tell you maybe that was not a good idea?
Mm-hmm.
I understand all the frustrations, that part of it, but I think that's where your captain, your coach are the more level-headed people.
Mm-hmm.
But also at the same time, the way I see it also is that from the very beginning, there's been a lot of discussions of things that have not really been kosher altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And the frustration as well, when they were traveling, if you saw the train thing where there was not really security from the train station to the bus, then there was discussion of the training ground where they were. There was plenty of other cameras that the other team could pull a Canada Federation thing. Cameroon complained a lot about the towels because it happened to them. There was a lot of complaints about calls going for Morocco when they were soft and not for others. So I think he was like bundling all of this bad stuff happening at once. And then you just throw a lid at the fire and hope it sticks. And I think that sequence of taking away the goal, giving the penalty within 2 minutes that could have ended the game, explosion. And the referee could have managed that game better. And I can guarantee you that if he would have managed that a little bit better, all of the things happening, probably that walkout would never have happened. Because it's your job. I mean, you have to set the tone early, right? Call both. We saw videos. The two coaches were together, heckling or whatever they were doing. I did not see where the referee was. Like, don't they usually just stay in the middle of the pitch, and then they call call the captains, call your coaches, try to figure something out. But I did not see where he was, and they just let both benches just. So it's a bad look. A lot of people will have a lot of questions to ask, and also, there's people that say you could have waited, just let the penalty happen, and then use, the politics of things to try to resolve it. But we all know that when the game is over, whatever that result is, you're most likely not going to get a redo anyways. And you can go through many courts as you want. What's going to happen? Probably nothing. So there's a precedent, I guess, to it. People say this was the first time a team walked off during a game. Technically, that was not true because Argentina did it in 2022 against Brazil. I believe that was a World Cup qualifier. And I think there was battles in the stands. And then Messi, I guess, walked in there and saw that there was people injured. And then he advised his entire team to walk off the pitch. And they were fined, but that was it. So I'm wondering where CAF and FIFA most likely will take, all of their experts and are gathering all of the image, videos, and everything, and will come to a conclusion of hopefully everybody gets punished, get a taste of it. And I think the coach got infinitely banned. But I think this was just a token to say, hey, we're doing something at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of heads will roll from Senegal, Morocco, most likely CAF as well. Stadium security. I'm sure the videos will have the kids, the ball boys that were stealing those towels. I mean, if one of those kids were not going for the towels and they were going for Mendy, for example, right? While he was on the field, security wise, what would Morocco would have said if that kid has had the malattended?
Mm-hmm.
So do you just let someone go over the fence, go over the signs, go on the pitch and if you watch the videos, Mendy is focused on the game because the game is still happening and you have a kid going by the goals. Do you think MLS would have let that happen?
No.
Like, I watched the show, I think on TV, I think they were showing stadium security. Yeah, because I'm crazy on those shows where the show showed like the security stadium, how they were doing when they had like the bullpen at the very top and they had security everywhere, cameras everywhere. They could tell if someone was sick or somebody was fainted or drunk, and then they sent someone down to watch them. Do you think they would have not caught all of that battle that was happening between fan and security and probably would have resolved that early? Or kids are going on the ground assaulting a player? So welcome to African soccer. But I think it's probably beyond that. But fortunately, the whole world saw it because this was the final. And everybody else was watching it because there was most likely nothing else to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's what everybody's talking about, except people in Senegal having a party.
Yeah. So I'm getting the vibe of this. This was very bittersweet.
Yeah.
Bittersweet. I think is what it feels like right now. Yeah. I mean, I hope CAF can like take from everything that has happened here and hope that it can be applied for the next one, which I believe is going to be in who's
27 next year.
Because
FIFA did this whole crazy movement thing. So I think that the next one is 27. Because then after that gives time for also Morocco and others for the World Cup. So he has that weird schedule, but
who would be the host for the next one?
So I think it's 3 countries. Now you get yes, there's 3 countries that's supposed to host it. I think I've not gone that far. Oh, you caught me on that one.
Let me see.
Yeah, I think it's South Africa, Zimbabwe, right?
Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I was off. Yes.
That's going to be interesting.
So it's going to be 3 countries. Yes. Now East Africa gets theirs, right? Because first it was Cote d'Ivoire that had it west, and then it went north with Morocco, and now it's going east. Right, so it's going to be interesting, and there will be a lot lesson to learn from there. It's going to be wow.
Yeah, definitely. I'm obviously Infantino is probably paying close attention to this, being that once again you mentioned 2030, Morocco is gonna be one of, which I still can't believe that there's actually like, I know it's technically 3 host nations, which is obviously Portugal, Spain, and Morocco, but then we're also gonna have that dumb beginning matches where it's gonna be played in Argentina, Uruguay, and Chile for some weird reason. Well, I know the reason, money, but which is at the end, which I'm still baffled by it because like if you're Morocco, well, FIFA in general, if you're, and I understand that they're trying to honor
The
like
century,
the
yes.
century, obviously because it was in Uruguay, the first World Cup was in Uruguay, I believe, and I'm like, I get that part. So why don't you let them host the 2030 World Cup? And like the thing that baffles me about all this because like 2034, it's locked in, right? It's Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is going to be hosting the 2034 World Cup, which I can't wait to hear everybody talk about the weather over there versus the weather here in the U.S.
So I'm going to that one.
But like the thing was with me, if you're Morocco, you had an opportunity to be your own host nation, which I think we need to go back to that. There's a look, like I said, North America is cool. I think that one, they're all next to each other. It's not like kind of similar to like Korea and Japan, right? Because they're still like very close to each other. It's not that crazy of a try. You're going from South America to West Europe and then West Europe to Northern Africa. So
yeah. Well, hopefully those teams don't have to play for 2 weeks or a week at least after that. There was the game that they play on this side of the world because jet lag and everything else. That's going to be horrendous. I don't know many teams that will probably sign up for it. They will be told.
They're going to be sitting there during the pod drawing, just like, please.
Yeah, they will be told who's playing over there. It's not, you don't get to pick.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably going to be like Argentina, Uruguay and Paraguay. They're probably going to be the ones that are going to be playing there. Give them, I guess, like home field advantage for a day. Yeah. But
that wouldn't be too bad.
But yeah, Moussa, I mean, obviously it's always a pleasure to have you on. I know this AFCON, I wish you could have said all positive things, but you know what? You tell it like it is, even if it's unfortunate. And I know, obviously, you're very happy that Senegal won it, but I understand also where maybe you wish it could have been cleaner, I guess you could say. But
yeah, I would have wanted just win it and then everybody celebrate, sour, not sour, and then. But controversy is what then get overshadowed what actually happened. That goal from Gay was like out of this world, but not many people are talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and hopefully Diaz can, get his head. I'm sure he'll get a lot of help because he will need it. But,
yeah, I'm sure, leaving Morocco and then going to the very healthy environment at Real Madrid.
So isn't he on loan though? No?
Nope. He's still a Real Madrid player.
Oh, I thought he was on loan at Milan. Isn't it? No.
No. He's at Real Madrid. He's actually was, in my opinion, probably one of the few guys that was actually keeping Xabi Alonso a job. So.
Oh, and then he goes away. Dang.
Correlation.
Your guy's gone. All right, you too.
Because now we have 3 10s. Now you have Jude Bellingham. I will say Brahim is not the. If there's anyone that deserves to get minutes, it's Brahim Diaz. I'm not, I don't want to take that away from the guy because I think he definitely puts in a lot of work. And it's unfortunate when you have like, I'm gonna just say it, a bunch of prima donnas that, that feel like they've done enough to be given a red carpet treatment. I think there's some guys that are just too obsessed with the Ballon d'Or. I think there's some guys that are just thinking that they're like the greatest English player to ever play in Madrid's history. I think that they need to, remember, kind of similar to AFCON, just remembering why we watch this game, why we play, why we play this game.
Yeah, and only one of them won the World Cup, so.
And only one of them won the World Cup. So and it's funny because it's like, and I'm this is my last question for you, Moussa, before we end this. I don't think it's Mbappe's fault. I don't. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, ever since Mbappe came, Real Madrid came down to this downward spiral." Honestly, my opinion is, ever since Vinny didn't win the Ballon d'Or, this became a thing because then it was like Vinny needed to show validation as to why he is the guy at Madrid, right? He didn't win the Ballon d'Or. Now you bring in a guy that I will definitely say is better than him. And the fact that Mbappe is playing in a position that he's not necessarily known for playing,
Right.
but still being an effective player. Because I can't complain about a guy if he's still doing his job,
Yeah.
so to speak, which is scoring goals and putting us in a winning position. It's just that everybody else isn't doing that part, the defensive side. At least that's what happened last year. But so and everyone, like, I've had people tell me it's Mbappe, right? I'm like, the one guy that is actually performing. You're telling me that it's his fault? I'm like, I think that's crazy. And I think I guess when you saw, well, I don't know if you saw the match with Real Madrid when they're the last La Liga match that they played in, but to see Vinny get booed, Jude get booed, and Mbappe not getting booed at, though he did have that crazy moment where he took everybody off when they were gonna do like the honor.
Yeah, the honor walk. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little bit crazy. But I mean, aside from that though, I think a lot of Madridistas, not all of them, but a good amount of them, do not believe that Mbappe is the problem here. And I guess as a fellow Frenchman, how do you feel about that statement, especially because obviously everyone keeps doing the correlation. Mbappe leaves PSG goes on and wins the treble. But
yeah, that was more timing than anything else. And well, they experimented something when Mbappe was there, where it was he's here, so let's add more superstars with him to make it happen. Versus you're the focus person, and then everybody else is kind of helping you reach where you want to go, right? And I always use the Messi part when it comes to how you build a team that you want to win, right? That World Cup was, we want Messi to win this World Cup. The agenda was you support him, right? Once you start to add more superstars, then everybody wants to divide that stardom, right? So that's why if you put it on paper, Mbappe, Messi, and Neymar, like, what the heck? You're supposed to be winning what PSG did with 7 trophies with those 3 guys in their sleep, but it didn't happen. You remove those 3 superstars, Dembele wakes up, you put a whole bunch of hungry kids in that team, and then you win 7 trophies in a calendar year. He goes to a team to where they're putting all of the superstars in as well, right? So he moved from one team that has 2 supporting cast are superstars themselves to another one that has 2 superstars themselves. And he's getting almost the same result. So I think, and then you watch him play at the World Cup, right? With France. What, you tell me the Mbappe that you see in France is not the same that you see in club team? But in France, they know that he's the best player. He's also the captain. And guess what? They all know that. Even though you have Griezmann, Dembele, and all that, they all know they are the supporting cast. And I think that's where some of the great players that are able to do magical things, no matter what team they play on, is that people know their roles. You could be the superstar as well as the other superstar, but you should also know your role. And that's where every successful team that we can think of had that one talisman name to help kind of carry that team. Hakimi was Morocco during the World Cup. No, Mane was AFCON, right? Messi was the MLS, right? Every team you look at, there's one guy that's the talisman and then the supporting cast. And Real Madrid, so far, I'm seeing it's almost 3 or 4 superstars and the supporting cast.
And I think that's interesting that you bring that up, because I mean, I think that this is a different Galacticos team for Real Madrid, because even, when I look at and I'm not going to use Galacticos 2.0 because I don't really think Galacticos 1.0 really panned out as well as 2.0 did, because obviously the 3-peat and all that.
Yes.
But I think with that 2.0, I mean, yeah, did they go get arguably one of the best players in the Serie A in Ricardo Kaká? Yes.
Yeah.
Did you go get the obvious guy that could also compete with the likes of Messi? Yes. Did you get a promising guy a promising Frenchman who is essentially a 9 but kind of can also play as a 10? Yes. But the one thing I think was very clear, it was Cristiano Ronaldo. It was very much Cristiano Ronaldo's team. I don't think anybody had any, ifs, ands, or buts about it. They made, even after they moved on from Ricardo Kaká, they kept trying to bring players that would help Cristiano Ronaldo do something special with this Real Madrid team. You go, you solidify as Benzema as now as your 9. You go get Gareth Bale. You get Luka Modric. You get Toni Kroos. You get, Casemiro. You already had Marcelo on your team, but considered was argued to be the best left back in the world, but kind of how you said, played his role. You had Sergio Ramos, Pepe, any others, Rafael Varane, like all these guys that came in, but they never once argued that they were the guy.
No, and I think Benzema was probably the epitome of knowing your role, because Benzema was there as the striker, right? He literally, for the entire time that Ronaldo was there, you saw how he dropped back, and he was more assisting and scoring last. But then the moment Ronaldo leaves, he wins the Ballon d'Or. Because he knew his role when Ronaldo was there, was that Ronaldo was the guy, and he played his role, sat back, and then Ronaldo left. He got rewarded, became the guy, and then win the Ballon d'Or. Like, what else can you tell other players? Play your role when need it be. When it's your time, make it happen, and maybe you'll get one of those.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, but yeah, Moussa, I think that's plenty of time for you, Moussa. I want you to spend time with your family and everything like that.
Or in bed,
or go to bed, or go to bed. Obviously, Moussa, it's always a pleasure to have you on. AFCON is kind of how this friendship started, and I'm glad that I can continue to reach out to you when it comes to AFCON. Obviously, AFCON's done, but I'm sure that there's still MLS is very much near its beginning. Tell the good people where they can find you and what's going on with Mo Football.
Pretty much just all Mo Football TV, all social platform, and season 4, it's recording now. So hopefully February 6th or so will be the first one. And guess you guys will be interesting because it's someone from Serie A Feminese that actually from Texas.
Oh, man.
That played at Texas 4 years, and now she plays at Napoli.
Oh, man.
Yes. So you might want to check it out because it's coming. There's a few on videos that I put on just TikTok and Instagram if you want to see who that is. And then after that, pretty much have a few MLS Next Pro, MLS coaches, players, and USL all being recorded. So be on the lookout for those because we're going all around the globe this year.
Definitely, man. So thank you so much, Moussa. Make sure you guys check them out. Obviously, links will be on the description for this episode and all that good stuff. So make sure you guys go ahead and give him some love, man. Moussa, it's always a pleasure, man.
My pleasure. Yeah, we'll be back on Goals TV very soon, too.
That, too,
causing trouble everywhere.
Everywhere, man, everywhere.
I'm a pupusa man myself. Better than tacos to me. I gotta go with them.
All right, guys. Shout out to Moussa. Obviously, always a blast to have him on the show. But yeah, check him out, man. Mo Football, obviously, constantly doing stuff. MLS, I'm sure he's gonna have a lot of St. Louis St. Louis SC content coming your way as well, especially if you're a St. Louis SC fan. But and also catch him on Gold TV, man. He's always gonna pop up every once in a while, just like myself. But all right, man. Players of the Week is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an amazing ticketing site where for all live events that you're trying to attend to, from sporting events to concerts, SeatGeek has you covered. Me and Edward, we're big fans of SeatGeek. We love its simplicity. It has such a simple grading system using numbers and colors. If it is super green and very high in a 10-point scale, well, that means for that seat, you're getting a great deal. Go ahead and buy it. If the score is super low and it's very red, that means those seats that deal isn't great. Keep looking. You're going to find a better deal. We love the simplicity of SeatGeek. Like I said, me and we use it for a lot of our live events that we attend. And if you're not sold just yet, for first-time users, if you use the code BellyUpSports at checkout, you'll save $20 off your first purchase. So once again, go to SeatGeek, use that code BellyUpSports, and save $20 off your first purchase. Now, I'm not going to tell you all the players. Okay, well, we'll do it. All right. So for the weekend, for the 22nd, so when we should have announced it, my player of the week is Michael Olise, who had 3 assists in Bayern Munich's 5-1 victory against RB Leipzig. Edward is Ousmane Dembele, who scored 2 goals in the 3-0 victory against Lille. The following week, my player was Endrick, who scored a hat-trick on Olympique Lyon's 5-2 win against Metz. Edwards was Mikel Oyarzabal, who scored 2 goals in their 3-1 victory against Celta Vigo. Okay. My next player is Bremer, who scored 2 goals in Juventus' 4-1 victory against Parma. Edward had Hugo Ekitike, who scored 2 goals in Liverpool's 4-1 win against Newcastle United. Then, for the episode that was supposed to drop on the 12th, I have Victor Gyökeres, who scored 2 goals in Arsenal's 3-0 victory against Sunderland. And Edward had Luis Diaz, who scored a hat-trick in Bayern Munich's 5-1 win against Hoffenheim. And for this actual episode's player of the week, I have Julian Ryerson, who had 4 assists in Borussia Dortmund's 4-0 victory against Mainz. And Edwards' player of the week for this week, it is Alexander Golovin, who had 2 assists in Monaco's 3-1 win against Nantes. Now we're all caught up. Players of the week. So once again, guys, obviously, if you guys aren't familiar with how player of the week goes, all these guys get counted on a ballot, on a table, and the person with the highest votes by the end of the year will become the 2026 Roosevelt Spencer's Player of the Year award. Of course, in the event of a tie, we will do a voting process. We'll get you guys involved to select our Player of the Year. Obviously, 2025's Player of the Year was Kylian Mbappe, and for a while it was a lot of Robert Lewandowski. But that's the beauty of this competition. So, congratulations to Julian Ryerson and Alexander Golovin for being our Players of the Week for this week. And once again, guys, go to SeatGeek.com. Use that code BellyUpSports for your first-time users, so you can get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. SeatGeek Life's an event. We have the tickets, and we're going to go ahead and segue to games to watch this weekend.
I love soccer, Peggy.
All right, guys, games to watch this weekend. Major League Soccer kicks off, man. So opening day, make sure you guys watch it. Well, give MLS a shot, man. If you guys have an Apple TV account, you can watch any MLS game, so go for it. We also have a juicy match of Cruz Azul versus Chivas de Guadalajara. Chivas de Guadalajara, after a big victory in El Super Clásico against América. So that's going to be really interesting to see how both these teams look pretty good. So we'll see how they are in Liga MX. In Ligue 1, we got Nice taking on Lorient and Strasbourg taking on Lyon. Endrick also, by the way, is just doing his thing over there. In the Bundesliga, we got RB Leipzig taking on Borussia Dortmund. And SC Freiburg apparently playing somebody, but I don't know who because I didn't type it. So we'll see. SC Freiburg taking on... Who the fuck they're taking on? Taking on Borussia Mönchengladbach. So that's who they're taking on this weekend. In the Serie A, we got Juventus taking on Como and Atalanta taking on Napoli. In La Liga, we got Atletico Madrid taking on Espanyol and Getafe versus Sevilla, which I believe it is official. Sergio Ramos has ownership stake of Sevilla. In the Premier League, we got Manchester City taking on Newcastle United and the North London derby, Tottenham taking on Arsenal. And obviously, a very big fuck you to Tottenham. I hate Tottenham. Everybody knows this. So, definitely, and it's funny because I'm wearing a white t-shirt right now. So I really hope Arsenal beats the living dog shit out of them, hopefully again. So, obviously, that's not all the matches that are being played this weekend, but that is a good beginner's guide for you if you are not familiar with the game. So, get ready for that. We'll go ahead and take one more break and then wrap this show up.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
All right, guys. So, obviously, we got... Nope. Yep. There we go. We got the deck of give and go. And... put that over here, because those are the red cards. And there's also a create a prompt card, so I'm gonna just do a quick blind pull. Okay, all right. So I pulled the card. I'm gonna put the deck back in the little box because I'm not trying to hold a lot of crap. So. Okay. All right, so this is the prompt. This is the discussion. I needed, Mom. Name a football product you'd buy right now. I needed, Mom. Name a footy product you need to buy right now. I think, obviously, at the end of the day, the tried and true I need it now, even though I probably don't need it now, is always a pair of boots. Cleats. Cleats for you, for everybody else. But, I think that's like one of the quintessential things when you need. I think you could say a ball as well, but you know what? Never mind. I take that back. Maybe not the boots aren't important because sometimes you could just play with your regular shoes. Like, I grew up with Chuck Taylors, so I probably wore a lot of Chuck Taylors to play soccer. Soccer was really easy with a Chuck Taylor shoe. I don't know if anybody knew that. But I used to play with Chuck Taylors from time to time. Sometimes I even play barefoot. So, but a ball is crucial. Like, you can never have enough soccer balls like that in reality. And honestly, at one point I did have quite a few, but thanks to Robo, I don't anymore. But yeah, you always, growing up, I always made sure I had at least a ball in my car, in my trunk at all times, just in case you never knew when it was about to go down. So I would say, yeah, I think you need a ball. You always need a ball. For any occasion. It's just kind of how it was, especially in my neighborhood. I would go to the park a lot, or I'd just play on the street. But yeah, a ball, I think, is a quintessential need in all occasions when it comes to footy. So yeah, I need it now, Mom. I need a ball. And so that is that prompt. So like I said, every episode until we use all the prompts, we'll keep pulling a card from there. Once again, guys, man, make sure you guys go check out this place, man. Give and Go, the soccer card game. Go look it up. I am going to put a link on this for this, so you guys can, go in and get yourself this game, especially if you have a lot of friends that love footy, and this would just be a great thing, just to like icebreaker, have conversations, talk about, about it. So yeah, this is awesome. I love this. Give and Go, great. Go ahead and check them out, man. They are not sponsored by any means, but yeah, it's a really cool card game, and I really recommend everybody try it. But all right, that is episode 2 something. Let me see. What episode is this now? This is good research. It's great podcasting. Always great. Of course, this thing is not responding. Hopefully, this is not affecting at all. 245, episode 245, man. I hope you guys enjoyed episode 245. I want to give a shout out to Belly Up Sports. Follow them at bellyupsports.com. Lots of articles that are constantly written. Obviously, NFL is officially over. Pitchers and catchers are reporting right now. College basketball, we're probably going to be in the big mix of it all because we're getting closer to March Madness. Masters, I'm sure racing is going to be talked about a lot. So NBA. So there's still stuff that's going to be discussed, especially at Belly Up Sports. So check out bellyupsports.com. Follow their YouTube channel as well. Subscribe to their YouTube channel, Belly Up Sports. That's how you find the full episodes of this podcast. On the full video version of this podcast is available over there on Belly Up's YouTube channel. So make sure you guys go check it out there. Follow them on X and Instagram at Belly Up Sports. So you can see all the great stuff that they're posting. Shout out to Kev. Kev is now dropping, I think it's like a weekly thing on like all social media, for just a recap of what's going on in sports. So make sure you guys check that out as well. Goals TV, man, so much is happening at Goals. Make sure you guys go check them out. Give them some love. Follow them on the X at Goals_TV, Goals_TV, and on Instagram at Goals.tv. And subscribe to their YouTube channel as well, Goals TV, man. You'll see me there from time to time. As a matter of fact, I was there for the kid rankings, the kid tier rankings. We did a kid tier rankings video, and we also did a tier rankings of the Eastern Conference. They did a Western Conference one with Fabian of Kick. Let me do right by that. Let me not just say things and not have the backing of people. So, Fabian Renkel, we have Fabian Renkel of Kickbase USA, man. So it's a really cool fantasy soccer website. So go check it out, man. Really cool stuff over there. Goals TV, man. Lots of great new stuff is popping, man. Make sure you guys check it out. Be in the know. Also, follow Roosevelt Spencer. That guy is the guy that makes the beats, the intros, the outros for this podcast. We love Spencer. You love Spencer. We all love Spencer. So make sure you guys give him the love that he deserves, because he is just generally the best. So with that being said, man, follow him at That Guy Dope on Instagram. Once again, at That Guy Dope. If you guys need some beat work done, message him. He'll take great care of you like he always does with us. That is the reason why we named the Player of the Year Award the Roosevelt Spencer's Player of the Year Award, because we love him so much. So once again, guys, thank you so much for listening to episode 245. Also, make sure you guys, obviously by the time that you're watching this, you're watching or listening to it, obviously wherever you get podcast fix from, of course. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to episode 245. Catch us next week for episode 246, where there's always going to be stuff to talk about. So take care, guys.